your perfect lifestyle and escape the status quo? Bring it. This is Josh Denning on the Tropical Entrepreneur Show.
Josh Denning back here on my mission to help you get a lot more customers that spend a lot more money a lot more often, and of course helping you become the authority in the marketplace. And today we're very lucky to have Kavit Haria with us. Very special episode today. Kavit's really been in the industry for quite some time, like about nine years plus now, doing a lot in the industry in the internet marketing side of things. So essentially it helps people start, grow and take control of their businesses by using the internet to generate profit, growth, autonomy and freedom. And it's really about that automation and growing more leads and more sales so that you can live the tropical entrepreneur lifestyle, in a sense, live the freedom life. And we're really going to go into some areas like how to make your ideas real and profitable on the web, and of course also finding that profitable idea and taking it to launch and then automating it and really growing it and scaling it. So it should be a very interesting interview that you can take a lot away from. Kavit, does seminars. He's got lots of digital products. He's spoken around the world, and he's got, I think, over 10,000 clients or something around the world. So the real deal, got a lot to share. So it should be a great interview. So that, Kavit, thanks for joining us, my man.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure. The tropical entrepreneur idea resonates a huge amount with me, and I'm going to share why in a sec.
Awesome. So does that mean I'm probably going to see you over here in my neck of the woods drinking coconuts on a stage with me soon?
Favorite drink is coconut water, so I guess so.
Yeah, it not only tastes good, but it's absolutely good for you and refreshing.
I drink it every day, and I was in Jamaica like in November, and I have these photographs. Everybody that I went with and people that I know and all my friends, they all know me for coconut water. So I carry like 5-6 coconuts all cut, ready to drink together, piled up. And there are these photographs of me doing that. It's incredible.
That is awesome, man. I've actually got it right, like where my office is. I'm in my home office now, but my office is actually literally across the road from my condominium complex. And on the corner at the soy where I walk down to like 30 meters or something to the office, where the office is, there's a guy on the corner, and he's there every day at lunch selling fresh coconuts that he chops the head off and then pours the coconut water into a cup and then scoops out the young coconut into it. And I drink one of those every day as well.
That's amazing. It's really good for you. I mean, November I was in Jamaica, December I was in India for the whole month. And even there, on roadside, you get all these guys selling coconuts, and you could just go up to them, and for like 30 rupees or 20 rupees, which is like practically nothing, you get like these amazing coconuts, and it's really, really amazing.
It's awesome. What I actually heard when I was living in Vietnam for a little while, and a guy that became quite a good buddy of mine, he was an English teacher. He was still kind of doing a little bit of entrepreneurial stuff as well. He actually told me that during war times, when they ran out of saline, they actually intravenously put coconut water straight into the blood.
No way.
Apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love that right now.
Your whole body can like fully repair itself on coconut. It's super good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
So there's our bit of interesting trivia for the Tropic Syndicate listeners about coconut water. So awesome, Kavit. So I've given everybody a little bit, a very brief rundown on what you do, and we obviously now know that we're both lovers of coconut water. And but yeah, we'd love to hear from yourself, like the kind of value and specifically what you do in the marketplace.
Sure. I mean, I am a musician. I play the tabla. It's a North Indian drum. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Josh, but you basically have two drums, not like bongos and congos, but bongos and congos you play with your palms, and your tabla you play with your fingers. And I guess they're dubbed one of the world's most toughest percussion instruments to play. If you can play that, you can play any other percussion instrument. I'd like to think that I could do that. But anyway, the tabla. So I played for a very, I started when I was young, I guess 7. I've been playing for many, many years, and I played professionally. I've toured. I've done a lot of work with musicians like Jimmy Page and Paul McCartney and, a few other big names. And the key I found when I did that was I had to learn marketing. I had to learn how to promote myself. I had to learn how to get exposure. I had to learn how to get more gigs. I had to learn how to put my music and build this huge fan base of people that like an Indian instrument, mixing it with, Western music because I grew up and I'm born here in the UK. So that was a really eye-opening period. And it led me to study how I could earn money because of the marketing. At the end of the day, I was doing all of this work, building my music career, but I would only earn money whether if I taught, if I recorded on a CD, if I also went out there and performed. So I did those three things and I earned some money doing that, but it was not really like the kind of money you would have if you really wanted the tropical lifestyle. I also grew up in Africa for quite a bit of time, so my background is really varied. But what I realized was there were a huge number of people, musicians, really struggling to get gigs, to perform, to sell their music. And they were struggling to discover how they could go out there and share their value with the world because they didn't know what to do. They didn't have the support. They also wanted to spend a lot more time on their music and not on the business side of things. And it just wasn't really possible for them to get where they wanted. So I started writing some of my thoughts down. I started writing, little ebooks and started selling that online. And I mean, I'm jumping the story a little bit because initially I was actually sharing this value face to face with some of my friends. And I realized that I was spending so many hours sharing all of this knowledge, giving away my time. Sometimes I was charging for it, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to play music. That's really the one thing that I wanted to do. But I was spending all this time just sharing this information with them. So to cut the story short, I started selling ebooks, I started selling DVD courses, coaching programs, all of it online. And it was very disjointed. I learned everything as I went along. I didn't even capture an email database. I started selling this stuff on PayPal and it started to make a little bit of money that got me excited that I'm a musician. I only earn when I perform, but now I was doing nothing all day and I was making sales online. And that was really exciting. That really got me to think about the different potentials of opportunities that I could do there. Anyway, to cut the story short, in 3 years, the business went on to generate $1 million. And it had worked like crazy. I had learned about marketing, I'd learned about sales, automation, and I started to be invited to speak at seminars about what I was doing as an online business. Not just the music stuff, but as an entity online, which over the last 4 or 5 years has led me to create a whole new entity and venture to share all of my learnings, insight, ideas about marketing strategy, automation, how to get your business working so you don't have to be in it, especially online with all the new tricks and cool things that you can do. And really what I'm trying to do today and what I've been doing for the last couple of years is work with anybody that has really good ideas and help them launch their business online. Take them from nothing to having a business up and running within 2 months that they can sell, that has meaning to their life, that they can go out there and get the kind of freedom that they really want, but they're stuck because they can't do anything with it, and then show them how to market it.
Yeah,
that sums up where I am. Yeah,
it's awesome, super awesome. It's actually really amazing. I just want to say something and kind of just before this interview, I was literally having a conversation. It's just mind blowing with my wife about because somehow we got into this big chat about talent and music, and I was explaining to her that really what's even more like you do have to have some talent, but what's far more important, well not far more important, but definitely I think that the most important skill is to really marketing. Like it's a great marketer can make an okay talent huge, but a great talent with no marketing is probably going to struggle to get anywhere. But then of course a great talent with a great marketer becomes a superstar. But it's interesting, and I think it's really interesting for people to understand and to learn from everything that you just went through of just how important marketing really is. Like, from my opinion, and sales as well, of course, but when you combine marketing and sales hand in hand, like the ability to walk someone through a process that causes them to buy being sales, and marketing the ability to bring get a message in front of a lot of the right people and bring them to you so you can start a sales process. When you combine those two things together, they're the most powerful skills in business. And it's really, they're the two most important skills, I think, to create any level of massive success, more so in some ways than talent. Of course, they are talents unto themselves as well. Well, can you just speak to what I'm kind of getting at a little bit there as well, please, Kavit?
Yeah, sure. I think, though, that although marketing is really critical, one of the other elements, and as good as marketing can be, you can sell like really bad stuff with really good marketing, just by positioning it in the right way and all of those different things. I always believe, however, that you've got to have a product that creates results. You've got to have a service that delivers what it says it's going to do on the tin. If you cannot do that, then you really have no right to be selling that stuff in the market, because the world is full of so much rubbish that it's not that hard to stand out if you can design a product and service that is really, really good. I mean, think about Apple. As something as simple as the iPhone can half of the marketing, most of the marketing is already done just in really good design.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, and I also think it's critically important too. But what I don't want the audience to miss is the fact that whilst yes, everything it should say what it says on the tin it should do, you should strive to make a great product. But the world has also got a lot of great products and a lot of great experts in it that are struggling to get ahead because they don't understand how to do the marketing to bring the people to see that great product. Like I created actually in my early stages on the internet quite a few like products that were very, very good products, very thorough, went into great detail about how to piggyback and sell guru products, and I was selling a lot of them myself, and even spent like $10,000 on a sales letter from Kevin Rogers and really called all the shots in, got joint venture partners and everything. But even though the product was excellent and really delivered, and not all, but a huge portion of the people that bought were able to go and make their first $1,000 commissions, the sales letter didn't convert, and the marketing hadn't been tested and wasn't working as well as it should have. So because the marketing wasn't good enough, a great product didn't actually get into as many people's hands as it should have.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I have this hidden story of, I don't normally share it, but when I did the music stuff and before I got into this real business stuff, I thought that, hey, if I knew how to sell books, surely I could do it for a lot of different topics. So I researched some topics that I thought would sell well, and I came up with this idea. And I wrote a book, and it was called The Secrets to Raising a Happy and Healthy Hamster. And it took 6 months to get the right approach, speak to the right people, get the right ideas, produce a really fantastic piece of work that would work. And those people that read it and found it useful, and they managed, they gave me the right credibility and testimonials to do that. But the marketing sucked. The marketing really, really let it down. The book probably sold like 6 or 7 copies after all of that work. So I totally agree. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to position what it is that you're doing really well and speak to the right people in the right way. At the end, knowing what it is that is valuable to your reader or to your audience, knowing what it is that matters to them in their life, what is it that gives meaning in their life, is the way to discover how you can apply what it is you're selling directly to them.
Very much so. Absolutely. So, look, Kavit, before we just dive into some of these other things about what's, of course, important is finding that profitable idea. And, of course, that's going to come down to also making a product. But I want to ask you the question that I ask everybody at the start of every show. And that's, if you really had to think about everything you've learned over the years and all the knowledge you've acquired and really condense it down into a chapter of a book, and that you knew that was being shared with like 10,000 young entrepreneurs to really kind of it was like the manual, the guidebook that was being given to them, and you had a chapter with a lot of other experts, but each chapter had to be really important to get these young guys and girls on their way. What would you condense your knowledge into? What would you name that chapter? And just tell us a little bit about the message that chapter would run through.
That's a fantastic question. I think there's so much that I could put in that chapter, but if I was to try to squash it all, it would be write an amazing marketing strategy, fill it with email marketing as much as you can. Email marketing has been the one thing, hands down, has worked fantastically well for me, and we can talk about that in a minute. And automate as much of it as possible. So write an amazing marketing strategy, include email marketing, and automate the whole thing. You do those 3 things, no matter what product you're selling. It's like a system. You just slot in the product and service and write about that and make it the feature and make it benefit rich and do all of those things. If you do the right strategy, the right email, the right automation, I think you'll have all the time freedom you want and money freedom as well that you can probably crave.
Wow, sounds like I've got to get you on my buddy John McIntyre's podcast, the Autoresponder Guy. Have you been on his podcast yet?
Yeah, I just recorded it last week,
Oh, did
so I
you?
think it'll be live at some point.
Awesome. Yeah, it's he's doing some really great work over there, and it sounds like it's really, yeah, you really so email marketing is a big part of what's been a foundational cornerstone of your success.
Yeah, I think that in both my big ventures, the music one as well as this current thing we're talking about right now, email marketing, hands down. Every single piece of advertising and marketing that I do, this is the rule number one in my marketing, is all about capturing their email addresses. It's kind of basic stuff for people that do internet marketing. But if they don't do internet marketing, or if they are doing internet marketing, but they kind of, gloss over and pass this kind of stuff, it's really important to just stop and consider this, because so long as you build a really good targeted list of prospects with their email addresses, and then you start to really engage with them because they have given you permission to write to them, to communicate with them, and you do that engagement and permission marketing on a regular, consistent basis. I do it every day. I write every single day. You will find that those people will warm to you, they'll get to know you, they'll love your personality, they'll share your stuff, they'll grow your list for you, and they'll inquire about your products and services and ultimately turn into clients and friends. So email marketing is huge. And I think that for me, I write every day, and I try to keep my articles short, and sometimes they can become very long. I don't really stop myself. I just write. And I try to write as if I was writing to a friend, and I write with personality, and I try to write a little bit of story in there. I want them to know what I'm doing. I want them to know what I'm buying. I want them to know what it is that I'm reading or what I'm up to. But it's still, I bring everything back to succeeding online with time and money freedom, because I know that's what they want. I'm trying to get to their core wants and needs. And so long as I write anything but bring it back to that, I know it's gonna result in sales. But the ultimate email that has always turned out to be the most profitable, I think that's useful to talk about. The one that has always turned around sales. If I email this kind of email out, I'm usually generally generating 5 or 6 figures in income just from that one email anytime I send it out, because I'll get enough inquiries that I'll then turn into sales. And that is what I call the case study email. Just writing a case study, talking about somebody who has gone through a process, has extremely succeeded with it or moderately succeeded with it, but talked about how they did it, talked about their struggles, talked about what they wanted to achieve and what they did achieve. So Josh, let me give you an example. Imagine if I was writing this email to you, I would say, "Dear Josh, just wanted to share a story with you about one of my clients, Tom. And Tom had this burning desire to want to have more time and more money freedom. He has these goals in his life that he feels like he's just not getting because he doesn't have the time to do what he wants to do. And he works in a career, and this is what he does. And, you could just give a little bit of spiel about that person and then go on to say, well, then he started this program, and this is what he did in that program. This is how he went from idea to launch to marketing to 6 figures all in 1 year. And this is what he's doing in his life right now." And here's a couple of words from Tom himself, and then you can sign off the email and just ask people to contact you if they want to find out more. Really simple, even badly written case study email will always generate sales for you. So that's one of the emails that has always worked really well for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, Kavit, and very good to know, knowing that you've really definitely put the rubber to the road and tested a lot to know what works. Is there a number 2 email that you could run through that's also another email that's been very successful?
Yeah. I mean, for me, email is all about engagement. And so long as I can get people responding, whether they respond to buy or not, so long as they respond, I know that I have a smart, a clever email address or email database there. So my favorite second email is the survey email. And I always do surveys. My whole business is about surveys. Before you join, when you join, after you buy. But all the time I've got Survey Monkey links going out, all assessing everything, and then trying to make decisions and changes based on those things that people tell me. I want to write in the words that they speak, because that's how marketing should be. So the survey email is really just getting as much analysis and insight as possible, and then I try to use what they say back to them to get more insight and get more communication going. So that's one of the other ones. It doesn't directly turn into sales, but I know that it does because of what they're telling me they want.
Awesome, awesome. So you mentioned before that when you write, like you just write and write until, you feel like you're done or until you've said what you wanted to say. Were you specifically talking about emails there or emails and blog posts as well, or like just anything, or was that mainly about the daily email?
It's generally about the daily email. But blog posts, my concern with blog posts is that I try to write blog posts every week and they go out every Thursday, but they seem to end up being around 2,000 words a piece. I can't seem to edit them down, and I think that if I kept them too long, nobody would read them. So I'm still experimenting there. But emails, for sure, I just write. The people that want to read will read, and those that don't will save it and read it later on.
And are you mainly broadcasting these days, or do you have autoresponder sequences as well, or?
Yeah, it's built with both. I use Infusionsoft as my tool of magic, as it were, and I use broadcasts, and I also do automated messages. The daily things go out as broadcasts to the list that is no longer in the autoresponder, but those that are in the autoresponder, the broadcast just gets added at the end there.
Yeah, sure. Awesome stuff. Cool. So let's jump into some of the specific steps and details that we're going to teach the listener today, with everything from finding their ideas to turning their ideas into a business and launching and then really growing them. So, of course, when a lot of people, when they're trying to get started and they really want to get something up and running, they might be working in their day job and they just know that they want to have something running themselves, or they just want to get out of, having to work for someone else, or even if they want to keep working for someone else because they like it, but they want to make some more money. That first thing that almost everyone struggles with is really finding something that they're going to enjoy doing, that they can get passionate about, but that is also going to be quite profitable for them. And it's an area that I know that you've mentioned to me before the show that you specialize in, and you're quite good at helping people with that. What are some of the strategies and tips and steps that you help people with, Kavit, to find profitable ideas?
Sure. One of the main work that I do, we call it automated business system, is really about taking somebody who already has an idea and then going to launch. But I found that there were so many people that wanted to take part in that process, but they just couldn't because they were overwhelmed with what they needed to do, or there were too many ideas and they didn't know how to decide, which generally is the case. I mean, if somebody wants to start a business, so if they're not entirely stuck already into an idea, they find it really difficult to choose an idea, because they don't know whether they've done enough research, they don't know if they've tested it enough, they don't know if they validated the idea enough for it to be profitable. So then I went ahead and thought about the whole process of how to find your first profitable idea. And it comes down to a couple of things. I have a process called GAT, which stands for Generate, Analyze, and Test. Generate as many business ideas as possible, go through the analysis, whether that's online analysis, looking at competitors, looking at keywords, looking at what is already out there, looking at your skill strength, doing a bit of a SWOT, SWOT analysis, looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but also doing real-world surveys, going out there, creating a survey monkey, asking people to fill it out, 2-3 questions, and just getting some insight as to whether people would like what it is that you're thinking about. So, and then more importantly is what I call the pay test, which is, do people actually want what you have what you have to sell, and do people actually have the ability to pay for it? As so long as both of these two things are yes, then you have an idea you can move forward with and continue your research. If you fail this test, so if you have an idea that somebody wants, the market wants, but they don't have the ability to pay for it, your target audience doesn't have the ability to pay for it, that's kind of a no. And, that's probably one that you don't want to move ahead with. So whatever idea you come up with, I think what's really critical is that the target audience you select for it has a desire as well as the ability to pay for it.
So that's
I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if you were a fashion consultant and or maybe a personal shopper. Let's go for the personal shopper. And you basically take people as your clients to the mall, to the best shops, to match what they feel or what you feel would make them look really, really good. You'll give them the outfit, the shoes, the trousers, the shirt, the blazer, the jacket, whatever it was. And your job is to help them go out there and find it. Now, you can probably charge $300, $500 an hour for your service, but then you have a potential conflict in or a decision to make about who you target. So then we go through the pay test. Well, what if you went for students at university? Well, they probably want your service because they'd love to look good and they want to, be trendy. But do they have the ability to pay $500 for an hour of your time? Probably not. So that doesn't meet the pay test. And then you've got, the older person, the retired person. Do they want the fashion advice from you, for an hour? Possibly not. Maybe if they're 60, 70, 80, they don't really want that kind of stuff, maybe. But they have the ability to pay for it if they really needed to pay for it. So again, that doesn't meet the pay test. But what about the professional, 25 to 45, working in the city, has a really good job. They would love to be able to dress really, really well every day, and they also have the money to pay for it. So the answer is yes, that they want it, and yes, that they have the ability to pay for it. And then you know that I could take that idea, personal shopping, for this specific target group, the professionals, and then go ahead and do a bit more research about it.
Interesting stuff. Gotcha. So then let's say that person that is running that service business to professionals, or, it could be any kind of service business, I suppose. They could be even, I know a lot of people that listen to this show have got consulting businesses, they either about SEO or pay-per-click and things like that as well, or are looking to get into the services industry in the digital marketing services. Let's say it is that person that's got, digital marketing services or are looking to scale out that area, and they really want to now use the web as opposed to their network and kind of word of mouth to start to turn that into a real web business. What kind of things do they need to do to start to actually turn it into a real web business?
Well, yeah, let's talk digital services, or anybody that's offering services. Essentially, the first stage is to think about your biggest or the biggest pain point that your audience has. And if their pain point is not knowing how to get clients, or their pain point is not knowing how to take their product and selling it, or let's say they want to get more rankings higher in Google, or they want to increase their sales, whatever their challenge is, let's just say. Your job is to produce something that you can deliver for free to those people. It could be a report, it could be a video, it could be a webinar, it could be an audio, it could be a CD, it could be anything. And of course, that is based on what their listening style is or their reading style is. But if you come up with something that you can first give away for free, and then you build a little marketing system around it, I call it the 24/7 marketing machine. And the idea with the 24/7 marketing machine is to develop an automated system or flow that allows people to get this stuff from you for free at any time whatsoever, and also start receiving a series of emails from you to build a relationship, to engage, to communicate, and then ultimately to inquire about your services. So the setup of that 24/7 marketing machine is generally a landing page, an opt-in, maybe a series of emails really written well with personality, with engagement, maybe with a few stories, not always work, but a little bit of fun and life in there. And then of course, you're delivering the free thing, and then you're leading them to an action, and that action is generally the sales process, whether it's, fill out this form and I'll be happy to call you back, or fill out this application and we can start your process, or go check out this page and there's a sales page there, and of course, a buy now button, whatever the process is. But the idea is to be able to implement that whole thing into a system like Aweber or Infusionsoft or with lead pages, and automate the whole thing, so that all you've got to do then is focus on driving traffic. And as long as you drive traffic to the right landing page and you work on improving the landing page, you'll get a series of leads, opt-ins, etc., fill into your funnel, and then you'll be able to turn those into sales.
Yeah, fantastic. So you recommend that all services businesses should always try to start, well, maybe not start at the very beginning. They might have got some stuff from word of mouth or referrals or their network just to get those first few deals to get up and running. But once they're really ready to turn it into a real business, they should always start with that free piece of very, very valuable cookie content, like a webinar or a report, or maybe even a recorded podcast that's only available behind an opt-in, and let that do some pre-selling, and then an email sequence that then maybe gives some more content but moves them towards like a phone-based sales process or something like that?
Yeah, it depends on the price point of the product. And one of the other little tricks that I would like to include on the front end, so in part of this marketing machine thing, is a survey. Again, And so long as, if somebody's opting in and in the first series of emails, when they're really engaged, if you can throw them a quick survey with 3 questions, what are your top challenges? How can I help you? What are you really looking for? What would it mean to you to achieve this goal? Those kind of questions, you get a bit more insight into that human being on the other end who's really craving a solution to one of their challenges, or really looking for a solution that would fulfill one of their problems. And then you get to really understand who you're writing to, because otherwise you're doing a bit of marketing, you're writing to people up whose email addresses you know nothing whatsoever about them, and you don't even know whether they're male or female, you don't know their age, you don't know which part of the world they're in, you have no idea about their beliefs and thoughts about life. So just throwing a quick survey, free with surveymonkey.com, asking 2 or 3 questions, getting some responses and reading them, and then incorporating those responses back into your email, you start to get massive open rates. You start to get massive engagement on your email, which means more sales. And then we come on to your point about how do you then, structure the close. And I think it depends on the price point of the product, and it also depends on what you're selling. If you sell a service where you're actually doing work for somebody who's paying for something, it's not like they're buying a product and the product is created and it's online and it's downloadable, but you're actually doing service. I would suggest a form that they fill out answering some questions if they're really interested to work with you, because committing to a form means that they're interested quite heavily in the process, and not just, here's my name, email address, and phone number, but more, what are your goals? What are you looking for? Why would this matter to you right now? What are you, why do you really want to do this right now? That kind of thing. And then it gets a bit more commitment, and you know that it's more likely the person that writes the best and the most in those forms is generally the kind of person that you want to speak to, and it'll become a much easier close, because you're positioning yourself as they're having to prove to you that they want to work with you, as opposed to, you're out there fetching clients because you're hungry for them.
Yeah, very, very well said. Very much about the positioning. So do you suggest that people, before maybe sending them to that form, should have at least taken the more simple opt-in first? That's just, the name and email, to actually build that database and list up initially, and then drive them to the larger forms from there, so that you can at least be nurturing a larger percentage of people?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think you should have the one form. I think you should have the 2 or 3 or even more forms. And the first one is definitely the opt-in, just the email address. I found that if you remove the name and just put the email address, you increase the percentage on the landing page of people opting in. And over time, as you get to engage with them, whether it's surveys or your blogs and so forth, they'll start to give you their name. There's no rush for the name. What use is that really, apart from hi, name, and the email address? So, whatever money you spend on the advertising, you're going to get more results just by removing the first name field on the form. And then later on in your emails, as you start to write to them and engage to them, then direct them to the more advanced form if they're ready to apply for your services.
Sure, yeah, this is brilliant stuff, Kavit. Thank you very much. It's I think the audience is getting a stack here. Very, very good stuff. So, interestingly, something that I want is kind of a little bit off side field before getting back on track 100%. I'm just interested to see what your thoughts are in regards to people that are getting started, that don't have a heap of marketing experience, may not have haven't made money online before, haven't really run their own business before. What are your thoughts on starting with services versus selling products, digital products?
That's a really good question. I think it depends on if you have a skill set, that you know something that somebody else doesn't know, and there's a way for you to deliver that information face to face, over the phone, by email. Then doing the service thing means you don't really have that much preparation to do, and you can be up and running a lot more quicker, because it's really just a form that says, I can help you do this. And, I'm really good at helping you do this. Here are some people I've helped with this. This is what I charge. If it doesn't work for you, I'll give you your money back, that kind of thing. And fill out the form if you'd like to speak with me. So a short bit of information about the service that you offer in a form, and you can be up and running today. I mean, that's how simple it is. But if you don't have that skill set that you feel is useful enough to help somebody, and I think everybody has a skill set that is useful enough, to be honest. Everybody knows something more than somebody else, and can really help somebody else. I mean, if you've got somebody that for example, who has a health condition, and you've really helped them because either you've gone through it yourself, you already know something. There's somebody out there willing to speak with you for their advice. So everybody has a service they can deliver at some point. But let's just say you believe you don't, and for whatever reason you feel like you don't have a service you can offer and be rewarded for in terms of getting paid, then it's, you can look at creating a product or defining a new idea and researching and interviewing people to get on that idea, or even doing an affiliate kind of deal. But I would generally say service is a lot easier for someone to start with, and then they can go into the product thing.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
I mean, if you think about coaches or consultants, they all just deliver services. They don't really deal in products. It's only after they get into the consulting world and the coaching world, when they start their own business, they realize that actually, you know what, I did this because I wanted more freedom. I did this because I wanted more time. And I'm coaching all day long that I don't have time, even though I'm getting really well paid for it. And that's when they start to think about products. So they do all the service work first, and then they start to think about, well, how can I commoditize, or not commoditize, but how can I put more products in my business so it relieves me of my time, and I can then go ahead and raise my fees also. So that's the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where really, I suppose it can be done in any kind of services business where there is a component of consulting or coaching or problem solving or that kind of thing, where what they can figure out is a few things, in fact. One, through doing the service, you get to know a lot more customers a lot more intimately and really get to understand very deeply their problems and who they are and what their real needs are and what their real wants are, which is tremendously valuable for when you do decide to productize. But also that if you're delivering coaching, for example, it's a bit hard for with me for what I do with SEO, but it can still easily be turned into a digital product through if I was doing training instead of actually delivering it. You can pull all those people together in a group and deliver your services and some training to 10 people at the same time and charge high price because they've got some access to you as well, and do some coaching calls, etc., and just record all of that, and then you're actually getting paid huge money while you're creating your digital products as well, which is where I think coaches are very lucky, and getting all that information and knowledge about your market. What do you kind of agree with that, Kavit?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's just go back to where we were. So we found the profitable idea, we've got it online, we've got our little system up that's kind of ready to work. How do we now seriously take it to market and really just launch this thing so it takes off?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you've got the marketing machine set up, you've got a sales process set up, you've got a website. Let's say we've done all of those things. Then what? Well, the first and most important thing, I think, is, there's paid advertising traffic, and then there's free kind of traffic that you do. But I think the one that generally is always giving us the results is the paid traffic. And I've always recommended everybody that I meet, that I talk to do advertising online, to always have a budget to spend on advertising, whether that's Google advertising, Facebook advertising, any of those other kind of pay-per-click things, but to do it, because it means that you turn on the traffic tap, as it were, and you start getting people to your website, you start testing your process, and you start to get leads. Otherwise, you're sitting there, maybe looking at your site and trying to blog every day, but you're blogging on your own site, writing really good articles, but then you still have to do the work to get those articles out there. No matter how much you write a blog or you record a video show or whatever, and you put it on your site, if you're not out there sharing that stuff, you're not going to get any people to your site. Because it's great, Google will pick it up immediately, it will start to rank it, people will search for it, but the volume of search that you get is really not as big as if you were to go out there and start sharing it. So I would do as much as I can to get people engaged in your work out there, and I call it outreach. And whether that's writing your own blog, then going out to doing guest blogs, or featuring yourselves in online magazines or on podcasts, or getting yourself interviewed on other people's sites, sharing your stuff on social media, creating videos, which are really fantastic, and sharing them regularly. And the key, ultimately, Josh, I think, is consistency. Whatever you pick to do your marketing, it's got to have consistency. If you do one video today on YouTube and you're recording like 5-6 minutes and you're sharing something about your expertise or your knowledge or whatever, and you don't do that again next month or next week, and you wait another 6 months before you think, hey, maybe I should do another video, it's not going to work. You got to do one every week if you're going to do that every week, or you're going to blog every week like you do it every week. I think you do your podcast every day, right? So to do it every single day, that's consistency, and that's why it gets out there, because you stick at what you do, you make a commitment, and you do it. I read a book the other day called Straight Line Leadership, And in there, one of the chapters is called Stop Stopping, because we start so many different ideas. We try to do so many different things. And every time we get so excited, we start something and then we stop because we find another excitement. We move on to another excitement and we just stop that thing that we do. So the idea of that chapter was to stop stopping doing things and just get on with it. And if you stick to that one strategy and really get onto it, then you move towards achieving the thing that you want to achieve or creating the thing that you've always desired for yourself to create.
Yeah, look, that's so true. I mean, I definitely just for the listener, it's really important to realize with me, which is, I guess, a little bit about me and the successes that I've had. Any time in my life with businesses or even with hobbies or with sport or anything really that I've done really, really well in and actually gotten to decent levels of success and definitely high levels of success, it's always, every time without fail been first making an extremely committed decision from like deep in the gut and also strong in the mind that, I'm just doing this no matter what and I'm going to keep doing it and keep going. And then really taking just massive, consistent, ongoing action over a period of time, be it, years usually, but even just 3 months, if it's very consistent, very massive action, very committed action, even just in 3 months, you can really do a lot of damage. You can push quite far in that period of time. And I truly, truly believe in my heart of hearts that is the cornerstone of any kind of massive success is exactly what you just went through. And I just kind of followed on with Kavit.
Yeah, the program that we work with our clients, when they come in with ideas and then we help them take them to launch, and then the whole thing lasts 12 months. And the reason it lasts 12 months is we tell them that we'll sit with you and work with you all the time to get your marketing plan fixed and working towards your goal. And we also set the financial goal with them. And generally the financial goal we try to push them towards is $100,000 in their first year. And the reason for that is because we know that, and I know specifically that if you create a marketing plan and you stick at it and you follow through, even if you don't see results in the first few months, but you do it consistently, somehow the world just repays you because your Google rankings improve, the traffic starts to flow to your side, you have a good system that you're tweaking, you're generally going to have enough inquiries to turn that into sales. So it's all about consistency.
Absolutely. So it's been some great stuff as well. Now, all right. So they've launched. They've done some good paid traffic. Their organic traffic started to kick in because hopefully they're doing some consistent content as well as paid traffic. But now it's time to. So they're getting some success. They're getting some sales. They might be up to $5,000 or $10,000 a month in kind of recurring revenue consistently or something like that. But now they really want to scale. They want to massively ramp the amount of leads, ramp the sales, and also automate so they can really experience the joy of that, the freedom that a business can have when some of these new modern technologies are employed effectively. How do we get that done? This is really this is the magic piece. This is the grail that everybody's chasing, and you're going to tell them how it's done.
I think from my experience, I'll tell you what I've done. And I have two key areas to this. One is people, and two is systems or technology. And the first thing before you even get to think about people and technology is what actually is working really well. Because we think that we want to start automating and systemizing all of our processes and then adding on more techniques or more strategies or more tactics for marketing. But at the end of the day, your business doesn't really need more than 4 or 5 traffic tactics if you're doing them really, really well. But there may be tactics that you're not doing right now, which could be better than the ones you're doing right now. And how do you know that? So analytics is really important. I mean, knowing what is working really well, what is converting really well into sales, and what is not converting well, but you're still doing and you're still spending money. People spend money on stuff like social media management, and they spend a lot of money on that. But when you look back 6 months later on, the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 investment that they've made into someone managing that for them, how much of that is actually turned into sales? It's great having your name out there. It's great sharing stuff, but how much does that turn into sales? So you need to do like a full review of everything, all your marketing pieces, all your traffic, and then cut out what doesn't work. Like cut out 80% of the stuff that isn't working, and the 20% that is, do that even more. Like increase the money you're spending on your advertising if that's working. If you're doing blogging and that's working really well, or you're doing outreach, guest posting, and that's working really well, shut off your social media and go do more of what's working. That's the first thing. It's the most basic thing. Focus more of your time on the 20% that's producing the 80% essentially. And then start to think about who could you bring in, who could you outsource a specific task to that will do it really well and work closely with you. So I have a couple of assistants because of the work that I do, but one of them is my closest assistant who manages most of the stuff that I'm personally responsible for, because I know that she's really, really good at it. I could give it to her and she would do it just as I would do it. And it would free me up to go do other things or do other projects or do something else. That's the first part. And the second part is technology. And technology is generally, if you set it up correctly and it's working well, it's generally unbreakable unless something drastically wrong happens that goes wrong. But find the right technology, find the right solution. For me, Infusionsoft is the tool that I've found that has really changed a lot of my business in terms of the way I've automated different things, the way I've communicated with my team, the way I've used, upsells and follow-up and all that kind of stuff. But there are other tools as well. And then use lead pages and stuff like that to start automating your stuff. But if you can do these two things and look after your systems and your people, and every few months come back and have a look at what's really working and just strip out that's not, you'll create a really lean, simple, a business that doesn't have too much of your time involved in it, and you'll be increasing your revenue growth.
Yeah, very, very well said indeed. And I think that's really what everybody's chasing, and I think the hardest part for a lot of people is just getting through that first hurdle of kind of what we've gone through of finding the profitable idea and then actually getting just that first nuts and bolts system set up where they've got a lead magnet, they've got their giveaway or their welcome mat or whatever you want to call it that's bringing people onto their list, and then there's a few emails that are already written that are building a bit of relationship and offering that first tripwire or that first low-end product. And then once that's working, then taking the time to build that, either have a service or have that core offering, and then being willing to just keep testing and adding more automation and building out those traffic strategies. But the first part really, I think, is just being able to make a big enough commitment and stay committed and keep putting in the effort long enough to just get that initial system built where there's an opt-in magnet, there's a lead magnet, there's a traffic source, and there's a little bit of a sequence that helps warm that traffic that's coming into the list up to grow some relationship. And I think also, like you said as well, Kavit, which I need to really do again, you've reminded me of really be a lot more time into surveying and understanding the market more. If you can get those pieces done, you're really like, that's 75% of the job, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty much the responsibility for everything that I've done is surveys. I would say that hands down.
So when I was saying 75%, I was meaning like the whole, like the lead magnet, the few emails, the sequence, and a traffic source. But would you say that surveys have been almost hands down 75%?
Surveys, because of surveys, I've got everything else working really well.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for surveys, I'd be guessing on what to write on my best landing page. But instead, the words that I have on my landing page, the headline is composed of generally the kind of things that seem to come up in the surveys. Because if that's what they're writing, it means that that's their language. There's no point me saying, entrepreneur if all they say is small business. It doesn't really, it doesn't make sense. Although I'm aiming at somebody that I'm thinking that could be the right person, but they're telling me exactly what it is that they want. So for sure, surveys.
For sure, that's huge. Do you know, or have you implemented at all any of the stuff that Ryan Levesque does?
I haven't actually. I know that he talks about surveys, and I know that he talks about a survey funnel, but I haven't been able to look into any of that stuff yet.
I've started looking into his funnel a little bit, and like there's surveys used at multiple pieces, and it's just really fascinating the way that how there's so much data gathered on the front end, and then based on certain responses to the survey, they move into different sequences and they're segmented through surveying, and then, it's just really an amazing funnel that he seems to have.
Right.
Do you think that as time goes on that you just absolutely are going to have to be surveying to really to have marketing that works?
Well, yeah, I think that I don't think you have to be doing it, but I think that if you really want to have extremely high quality connections and engagement with your database, that you could have 1,000 people and make the same money as somebody that has 10,000 people or 100,000 people on their database, so long as you are speaking and creating personal communication with them. And the only way you're going to know that is know who they are, and the only way that you can really know who they are is through surveys. And when I say know who they are, I don't mean are they male or female? What's their age? I don't mean those kind of things. I really mean the more detailed emotional meaning and connection to them. So when I write surveys, generally most of my questions are open-ended, and I ask them to be really specific. I ask them to give me really specific examples of, what does this mean to you? Or if you want to achieve, what would it really mean to you to have an automated marketing process in your business? I mean, tell me specifically, what would it actually mean to you? That kind of thing. And I want to be really open so that they can be very open with me. And I don't mind if they write stories. I read every single one of them because I know that they're speaking to me. They're telling me exactly what matters to them in their life. And if I create a marketing structure that helps their business, they're going to achieve that desire. And I know that I can sell to that desire.
Yeah, for sure. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant. So look, I mean, it's been a brilliant interview with a lot of awesome stuff. I know that you've actually prepared something for one of my other favorite questions, which I think we've kind of covered in a sense, but I still would like it to be done in another way, which would be condensed and maybe more actionable and step by step, and just review what we've already gone through in a way. And that's my famous question, that if you had a few $1,000s, you had 90 days and you still had a job, you were still employed, but you really wanted to get yourself into a position where you could have enough money coming in to actually exit that job in 90 days and then keep growing your business from there because you had it executed, you had it set up, so you're ready to rock. What 5 to 10 steps, Kavit, would you take to actually achieve that result?
That's a brilliant question. And when I read that question before I got on, I was really quite excited by it, because there's a whole process that I could tell you, and I'm going to tell you right now, that I think anybody could follow to create what I call an automated business system. And the first one, of course, is to definitely have an intense desire to make this happen. At the end of the day, no matter how good you are at following the rest of the steps, if you don't really have the desire and commitment to give to the process of building a business online, it's just not going to happen. You got to be willing and excited to do all of that work. So that's for sure one of the points. Then number 2 is to find your profitable idea. Whatever it is, do your research, find your profitable idea, test it, be confident, make sure it passes the pay test we talked about, and then find your profitable idea. Then number 3 is take the biggest challenge that your market currently has or your audience currently has and create your free piece of value to give to them. Your free report, your video, your guide, your ebook, your MP3, your CD, whatever it is, create that and put it. Make sure that piece of information doesn't have to be that long. Make sure it just answers and guides the target audience on their biggest challenge. And then number 4 is to then put together your 24/7 marketing machine system, your landing page, your value, your email sequences, directing them to the next step, which is the simple sales system. The simple sales system is really about putting together your process to get the person who's a hot lead into a customer or a client, whether that is getting them to buy on your sales page, whether it's getting them to watch a video and apply for something, maybe it's filling out an advanced application form, whatever it was. Do that process. And then number 6 is once they've applied for your process in your simple sales system, then sell to them. So convert them essentially from prospect to customer. And that could be a manual process or it could be an automated process. It could be a process where they go online and fill out the form and they do all of that stuff. It could be a process that you complete via online chat. It could be a process you complete on the phone. And number 7 is then to deliver outstanding service. You have to deliver really, really good service. Whatever it is that you're selling, do the best to really wow that customer, because that customer is going to turn into a raving fan if you do that. And that customer itself, the case study that you get from that client, the results that that client produces based on your product and service is what is going to help you leverage the rest of your marketing to a whole new level. I think that marketing can be done, and marketing can be so easy if you just had case studies. And most people try to sell without case studies. And if you just had case studies that did all of the sales for you, you would be making a lot of inquiries and a lot of sales as a result of that. So number 8 was deliver outstanding service, and I guess that wraps it up, because that then leads back to getting more inquiries through referrals and stuff like that.
Sure. And also, did you have set up some traffic strategies in there? Was that part of the?
Yeah. So we should definitely talk about that. Maybe that's number 9. Of course, you've got to have traffic strategies, and part of that is definitely looking at paid advertising and definitely looking at content marketing. 2 big areas that I think are really, really important.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Kavit, you've definitely really, truly over-delivered, and I've, learned some stuff and taken some stuff away as well. So I'm sure that the listeners definitely have. It's really been brilliant. But before we say goodbye, my man, I'd love you to let everybody know the different ways they can find out more about you, your products, your offerings, what you're up to, your speaking, and then also share some parting advice, please, mate.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. I have also really enjoyed sharing today. I think that I've opened up a huge amount, and I'm hoping that it's useful for people that I've let you in and showed a little bit about what I'm doing. I've prepared a CD, of course, in my little money magnet there, and it's called How to Launch Your Online Business and Make 6 Figures in a Year. And it just talks about the whole process we've talked about now, very focused, step by step, over about an hour. It's an audio that you can download and also get the CD. The URL for that is www.insider, that's INSIDER, insiderinternetsuccess.com/free CD, all one word, free CD. And they can go in there and opt in for that free CD and listen to the download, get all the value from there, and hopefully it'll complement what they've heard today. And of course, I'm on Facebook, and I'm very accessible by email and all of that, so they can find me there.
Fantastic. And so I definitely recommend you go over and grab that at Kavit's domain //free CD. What's your domain there again? Just one more time, Kavit?
InsiderInternetSuccess.com. INSIDER internetsuccess.com.
So insiderinternetsuccess.com /free CD. As you can, it's a very, very valuable strategy that Kavit goes through. I'll highly recommend that you do that. It's going to be extremely useful to you and your business and getting started. And then Kavit, what's your parting advice, buddy?
Yeah, sure. The most important thing, I think, at the end of the day is consistent action. No matter whether you think you've got a perfect idea, no matter whether you think you know what you're doing or you feel a little confused and you don't know whether it's actually going to work or not, or you're not confident on your marketing, or you're not sure whether the email you've written is like the best email, or that the client you've got is the kind of client that you want, it doesn't matter. Just do it. Start it. Don't wait for things to be perfect, because you'll get to know as you go along. And that's the beauty of startups at the end of the day. You start small, you grow with your own, advice and your own feedback and your own lean setup. It's not like you're waiting for everything to be perfect and you have to need it to be perfect. It doesn't need to be. So that's what I would say. Just start.
Fantastic. So awesome. So Kavit, thank you very much for joining and sharing all those strategies and just a little bit about your experience and also letting us in on your secrets about coconut water.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the show.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so it's been awesome having you, bro. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Tropical Entrepreneur Show. You can download your free guide to the top 5 tools to grow your location independent business fast by visiting tropicalentrepreneur.com, and we'll see you tomorrow.